We're going live. Welcome to the Tesla Talks podcast, folks. Week number. You know what? I got to stop counting the weeks because I've lost track of weeks. Right? Is it 11? No, last week was 11. I think
so you're counting. Look at this guy.
No, I'm not counting, but I'm pretty sure we did 11 last week. Anyways, welcome to the podcast. We've got a full house just like last week of guests and awesome guys. We're going to start with, the regulars, Franklin, Ryan, Anthony. I'll introduce them in a second, but we have a brand new guest. So guys, you have to be on your best behavior for our guest. His name is Jason. And you know what? I just met him. He's a super cool guy. We've been talking off here for about 15, 20 minutes. I just met him. He was introduced to us by Franklin. So Franklin, I'm going to get you to introduce him quickly right now and tell him a little bit about the background. And then we're going to talk to him after we introduce the other guys.
For sure, yeah. So if you guys don't know, you just have to look at Elon Musk's profile to know who Jason is. Elon Musk replies to Jason more so than probably any other Twitter account. Jason and Elon are really good friends. There's a running joke on Twitter that he's the Joe of the reason behind Joe mode. And yeah, Jason, you're like a legend when it comes to getting replies from Elon Musk. Like, there's no one better.
We're not.
For real, yeah. Do you have a secret?
Well, I wish I had a secret, but right now I don't. Just try to interrogate as much as I can. That's kind of what it's like.
So, what made you get into Tesla and just?
Yeah, so I have my mom's friend. She has a P100D right now, but in the past she had a P85D. She took me for a ride in it, and right when I felt the acceleration is when I fell in love with the car. I've always been an Apple geek, so Apple and Tesla, they go together. That's why I'm in love with it. Yeah.
You shouldn't have said that to Franklin, but no. Thanks for joining us on the podcast and welcome. Feel free to like we said off air. Feel free to interject in any of our conversations, any of our topics throughout the show. But thank you very much for being here. And thanks for the introduction.
You guys know why Dax really wanted him on this podcast, right? He wants him to tweet Elon being like, "Hey, come join the podcast," right?
Yeah, hey,
I'll do that.
He seems to be making his rounds. He sort of stopped off at the third row guys, but he's making his rounds. Yeah, I would never in a million years expect him to come on. But if you can make it happen, that would be great.
I'll try my best.
Is there a secret?
Is it joking, by the way?
Is there a secret to getting him to respond? Like,
yeah,
yeah, maybe. I can't.
I'm just joking, by the way. No pressure here. Okay?
No, absolutely.
Hey, I'll try.
Absolutely not. Welcome our other guests. You've been talking to, or you've heard Franklin talking. So Franklin, Tesla mother frunker, thanks for being on the show, buddy.
Always, yeah.
Franklin,
glad to be here.
Franklin is our regular. He's the what's that guy? Ed he's the Ed of Johnny Carson. Is it Ed? The guy that sits next to Johnny Carson.
You just lost more than half your viewers.
I know. Franklin has no idea. Jason has no idea. I'm relying on you two old guys.
Yeah, he's Ed McMahon.
Ed McMahon. That's the other thing. Yeah, the
Only us old guys know that.
Clearinghouse guys. Yes.
You know what these old geezers are talking about?
If you're watching at home, up in our top middle there is Anthony Tesla Milton. You can catch him on Twitter. He's very active on Twitter, almost as active as Jason as Tesla Milton. Thanks for joining us, Anthony.
No problem. Thanks for asking me to come.
It's been a while. I'll have you back anytime. And last but not least, Ryan, Nerds for Hire. He's also on Twitter. Thanks, Ryan, for coming.
No problem.
Yeah, you look like you're half asleep. You were feeling a little under the weather earlier, but you're fine now?
Oh, yeah. Yesterday was rough. I thought I had the COVID.
Yeah, but good. All jokes aside, everything's good, though?
Yeah, just my wife's cooking again.
Yeah, I'm telling you, buddy, she's trying to kill you.
It looks like maybe he's having a little bit of a 420 hangover there.
Yeah, it feels like it.
And people at home who are watching this and listening to this, thanks for tuning in. We are doing this live on I almost said Facebook, on YouTube. So you can join us almost every week on YouTube. We try to do it the same time, same date, but it fluctuates. And what I try to do is I try to give you notice of when it's coming on. But you know what? if you can't join us here live in person, or you can't spend the time to actually watch us here on YouTube, you can listen to us in your car using TuneIn Radio. Just search in your car for Tesla Talks and you'll find it on TuneIn Radio. Or we're also on Apple Podcasts if you want to listen that way and you don't want to listen to your car, you want to take it on your phone or something like that and you take it on the go. We're there too. So you can listen to us audio or you can watch us. And like I said before, watching us, we bring up articles and we talk about topics and we show pictures and stuff, and we sometimes discuss pictures. So sometimes listening to it is a little harder to describe or imagine what we're talking about, but we do our best. And if you have any questions throughout the podcast and the live stream, feel free to just enter it down in the comments below if you're on YouTube and you want a question. These guys are a wealth of knowledge and they'll answer your questions as much as they can. And if you have a question for like the following week or something like that, you can reach us by email at Tesla Talks Questions. That's all one word, Tesla Talks with an S, questions with an S, at gmail.com. Send your question there, and I will be more than happy to have these guys decipher the questions, and we'll break it down and we'll get you an answer. But without further ado, we have a lot of news in Tesla today, and actually this week. I mean, a lot of it is actually Twitter stuff because Elon's been very active on Twitter, and it's fitting to have Jason on with us this week because it's almost like an all Twitter thing. So the first topic we want to talk about, and I'll bring it up here if I don't remove it by accident. Yeah, right here. Let me see if I can do it this way so we can get you guys involved in here too. Playing with all the settings. Okay, so Elon, well, first of all, a friend of ours, his name is Moss. He's on Twitter as Covello Massimo. He asked Elon back on, I think last week, April 17th, he said, hey, Tesla or Elon, I was thinking with the shutdown we're all going through, and is it possible to extend the free referral supercharging miles since we can't go anywhere? Thanks in advance. And Elon replied right afterwards and he says, will do. So that was cool. That spurred up, and it makes sense, right? I mean, Moss is brilliant for asking that. I mean, we're all stuck at home with the pandemic and everything. We can't go anywhere. So we're using our cars less for the most part. Some people use it more than others. But, you know, I mean, we figured why not ask him, right? And of course he said yes. And we thought nothing of it. Like, you know, when people ask, and maybe Jason, you can talk about this. When people ask Elon questions on Twitter and he replies and he says yes or will do it or whatever, like in this case, it's not usually right away or within a week turnaround that we get results. But yeah,
it's always unexpected. Always unexpected.
Yeah. So I just give you an idea for timeline. I asked for the two-step verification a year and a half ago. That was the first time that Elon said yes. And then about 6 months after I asked for the two-step verification, someone else followed up and said, hey, is it happening? He said he had to redo the whole entire backend system. And just 2 days ago, he replied to me again saying it's coming soon. So it took about a year and a half from him initially saying, yes, he'll do it, to coming soon, which, I mean, we don't know when that's happening, but still, that's like a year and a half timeline, right? Just to give you an idea. So.
Yeah, exactly. But what I was going to say, and we're going to, you know what? I want to talk about that actually, Franklin, in topic itself separately. We can do that afterwards. But getting back to the Moss tweet and Elon saying yes, now just before this show started, probably about an hour ago, I was perusing Twitter, browsing it, and lo and behold, people are tweeting in. I think our friend Gary started it, saying that they've noticed on their loot box that the expiry date has shifted a month. Have you guys noticed that on yours?
Mine's the same, but mine goes out of ways. So I was thinking maybe they might have done it to people who were going to be expiring sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I think that's what happened. We lost Jason here. Let me just pull him back in. There we go. You get there, buddy?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. No worries. That happens every now and then. That's fine. I'll just keep an eye out and bring you back in. Yeah, no, what I think it is, I think anyone that was expiring this year, 2020, don't quote me on this, but I mean, like I said, this is all brand new news to us within the last hour. I think anyone that expired this year or in the upcoming near future were extended. anyone that's maxed out at the 36-month period, I don't know if they changed it. I didn't notice it on mine, but mind you, I wasn't. Other than the year that I noticed, I didn't look at the month, so I can't honestly say. But
yeah, mine's the same. I checked it when I saw Glenn tweeted about it.
Yeah. Okay.
My date and month is the same as it was before. So
Yeah, mine
I
hasn't changed either.
got lucky to have a few. So
So I did get tagged, and he said that he took delivery on the 26th. His expiry date was on May 30th. Now it's June 30th of this year. So it makes sense what you're saying, Dax.
Cool.
But at the same time, as Mark is mentioning in the comments, Moss has not been extended yet. And he's
I know. That's the ironic thing.
You'll be the last one.
they're probably doing it alphabetically, right? So
Isn't that so funny, eh?
I don't think Tesla has a system. I don't think they go alphabetically. I think they use a random user generator. They pick the user IDs randomly. And, okay.
Yeah.
We've definitely talked about how they're definitely not doing this by any stretch of the imagination in order.
Probably by Vin.
Yeah, certainly not by Vin either, buddy. Like, Vin would make sense, but it just seems with Tesla, they have their own rhyme and reasons for picking people for whatever reason. But a big, huge shout out, and a big, huge thanks for Moss for thinking up of that question and putting it out there to Elon. So he heard of it. So anyone that was expiring this year or in the near future, you can thank Moss for that. And speaking of Moss, I asked him permission before I'm about to do this, before I did this, what I'm about to do. And he said, sure, no problem. Now, keep in mind, with the pandemic and everything going on, there's a lot of things that aren't up and running, as we all know. I mean, there's no secret. But car service and maintenance and stuff like that is an essential service, at least here in Southern Ontario. And Moss is where most of the four of us here, except for Jason, and I don't know, down in Florida, is our car dealerships and mechanic shops an essential service there, Jason?
So car dealerships, I'm not sure, but for example, Tesla service is still open. Signature Customs, the wrap shop is still open.
Yeah.
So I'm just not sure about car dealerships themselves.
Okay. Well, here, dealerships I know are still open, but they're really hurting from what I understand. But anyways, getting back to Moss. Moss does a little thing on the side for any Tesla owner that it's awesome. He runs a little tiny little garage, and it's called, if you want to get a hold of him, he's on Twitter at Garage Moss. And what he does awesome. He does tire swaps. He does cabin filter changes and stuff like that. He'll do brake services and stuff like that. I mean, he knows what he's doing. He's professional at it. And if you want to get these little things done that you can do yourself, or you could take it to Tesla. And we all know what Tesla's shop charges per hour.
Truthfully, I trust Moss doing work on my car more so than Tesla.
I was going to say, a few of you guys have used Moss, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's actually how I met him. He did my winter tire swap last year, and that's the first time I met him. And he's become a really good friend, and he's a really good guy. So if you're in the GTA and you're looking to get tire rotations done or winter to summer tire swaps done, definitely look for Garage Moss. So Garage and then Moss, like the thing you find on a rock. On Twitter. But he's a really good guy. And,
you write awesome advertisements.
It's interesting with this Elon thing, because he and I were talking just before Elon tweeted him. That was actually the day we had our virtual coffee meetup. Moss and I used to get together and have coffee because I'm retired, and whenever he didn't have a job going on for the day, then we would get together for coffee. But obviously we can't do that now because of the pandemic. So he and I had coffee in the morning virtually, and then he took his dogs out for a walk. And just before he went out with his dogs, he tweeted Elon about the referral kilometers, right? And he went out for his walk, and he left his phone at home, right? So, and then I came downstairs. I looked at Twitter and said, "Oh, Elon replied," and I saw he replied to Moss, right? And I tweeted, like, "Oh, dude, Elon replied to you, man. He's not responding back." And he calls me up about 10 minutes later. He goes, like, "Oh my God, I came in my house and my watch started going crazy," because he has a Apple Watch, right? So all his notifications started coming in when he got in range of his phone. So yeah, he was really happy. A very exciting time for him because that was the first time that Elon had ever interacted with him at all. So it's pretty cool because he's a really good guy. And, I was really happy to see that he got some response to his tweet, and also to see that Elon was able to deal with it so quickly. So I think that's really good, and we all owe Moss a big attaboy for reaching out and getting that done. And, like I said, if you're in the GTA and need anything done with your car, then definitely look for Moss on Twitter, and he'll help you out.
Yeah, he also does center console wraps and Chrome deletes too. He's who was it? Someone did a live Twitter video back last summer.
Yeah, we did. I did with him.
Yeah. And he does an awesome job.
As long as you have your own materials, then he'll help. It's probably a bit cool to do Chrome deletes right now, but for interior stuff, if you have any Tesla Bros interior stuff, Moss can certainly help you with that.
Yeah, and this is not
other brands as well.
And this isn't a paid advertisement or anything, but I just thought I'd mention that because he helped us out by getting Elon's ear. So you know what, we can return the favor. But moving on, unless anyone else has a comment about the extension.
He also offers pizza if you show up. Hey, Mark? Hey, Mark in the comments.
And he really likes coffee.
Yes, he loves his coffees and cappuccinos. Moving right along,
right.
Maybe Franklin, you can set this one up because you alluded to it earlier.
Which one now?
The
two-step
factor, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so about a year and a half ago, I asked Elon Musk for two-step verification, and to my shock, he replied to me. I'm not like Jason. I don't get responses all the time, okay? I think I'm up to 8 interactions. You can actually see it on my profile if you click it. Like, I have a running counter. It's kind of a joke, but it's real. And anyway, I wanted two-step verification. I'm very big on security and just all like these third-party apps and stuff like that. And the biggest way people get hacked online today is through phishing. And two-step verification is such like a great, simple way to combat that. So anyway, I asked for this a year and a half ago, and I gave him like months. I didn't pester him like the next day, be like, where is it? Where is it? And then I think 6 months later, he did comment saying they had to rework the whole back end system. And then since then, it's been quiet. There's been nothing. So I've tweeted him out a couple of times here and there, nothing crazy. And then just last night or 2 nights ago, I don't know, it's hard because he's commented to me like 3 times in the last like 48 hours. So it's hard to keep track now. But he just commented to me either last night or the night before saying that, yeah, it's coming soon. So I'm super excited. It's all these small things that are so important. If anyone has any type of account that offers two-step verification, definitely activate it. That includes Twitter, Facebook, pretty much any social platform, a lot of different websites, and I know some banks have it, so definitely enable it. So if you don't know what it does, basically I can give you my password to an account, and you need another device, another authentication method beyond just my password. So if I give you my password, you might need my phone as well to be able to log in. So it's just like an extra layer of security, and it's really, really important. And I'm glad that Elon's finally getting around to it. So
Google supports it too, so people should definitely be turning it on for their Google accounts or anything.
Yeah. Does Apple support it?
They do. Yeah, they have. It's not device based. But yeah, they do have their own implementation of two-factor that basically requires you to authenticate the connection from a different iOS device.
Amazon has it as well.
Yeah, Amazon. Yeah.
PayPal, Amazon. Yeah.
Even Instagram. So a lot.
Yeah. So I'm like really excited over this. This is actually pretty big just for security.
It's really important because if you and I were talking earlier today about the API, and you can't do anything malicious necessarily with the API, but you can do stuff, right? So if I knew somebody's credentials, I could unlock their car, I could open their trunk or their front, I could vent their windows and stuff like that. It's kind of minor, harmless stuff, but
you can. So we had that conversation, I kind of went through it. So I'm going to be creating. I have a video ready to go for Monday about the Tesla API, the unofficial API for all these third-party apps, and it explains how the API was created. I try to simplify it as much as possible, and basically the extent of what these third-party apps can do, and that's when I say third-party apps, I mean like Teslafy, Stats app, whatever it may be, the Tasker, Tesla plugin, anything that stores your credentials anywhere or has access to your account. If one of these places went evil or was hacked, I'm going to imagine they get hacked more so than turn evil. They can remotely see where your car is and then remotely start it. So if they know where it is, they can get to it and then they can remotely start it. So it could be problematic. So
yeah, so another good reason to have a pin to drive enabled in your car.
Yeah,
I mean the chances of that happening are obviously very, very low, but still, if you have a pin on if you have pin to drive enabled in the car, then nobody's going anywhere if they don't know your pin, even if they do get in the car. So,
It's interesting. Since you're talking about security, I don't know if you noticed, but in the app, there's enabled Touch ID. And I don't know what it does. Like, I've had it enabled, and it's never asked me to use the Touch ID on my phone.
Yeah, I suspect it's on the iPhone. It's probably going to be used as once two-factor is there. But yeah, I've seen that for months. It's been there for actually over a year now.
Yeah.
And yeah, it doesn't do anything because there isn't anything you do in the app that requires you to authenticate in real time. But,
right.
Maybe they just implemented it so it's there for future use or something.
Something I want to point out, mentioned by Mark, you have to enter your password again to do remote start, is what he said, through the API.
Yeah, you do.
Okay. So, yeah. But I mean, the Tesla app itself, so I've been digging through the app for the last 6 months. Not every single release, but most of them. And they have a lot of really random pieces of code in the app that never really see the light of day. I'll give you an example. I'm going to mispronounce this. Someone correct me, please. Baidu.
Erica
Okay.
Baidu?
That's the what is it like? It's a search engine.
It's the Chinese Twitter, or no? That's
It's like the Chinese Google. Basically, they do search engine mapping and everything else. Tesla had their API. Tesla had their their hook to them before they announced the partnership, and I'm talking like maybe 2 or 3 weeks before the partnership was even announced. And this was buried in the app. However, today, right now, it's no longer in at least the latest version that I have on my phone. So,
Well, sorry, what was buried in the app?
API. So basically, the app was making calls to their mapping service.
Oh yes, we talked about that.
Right.
it's probably for like the Chinese vehicles, right?
Yeah, but it was in the North American app as well, which was interesting. So they never split it up, probably up until recent. So.
Yeah, it was like, you want to build a factory, you have to write this in your app. Who knows? Yeah, there's a lot of behind door negotiations that happened. Yeah, so that's pretty interesting. That's good news to know. Are we all finished now? Can we move on to the next one, guys?
Yeah.
Okay, where is it? Up probably about 10 minutes ago. Just someone on YouTube. His username is We Back Tesla. He asked a question: Cybertruck or why? Cybertruck or why? He can't decide. Now, I mean, I would love to say Cybertruck, but the why is damn good. I've been watching Sandy Monroe's taking apart that car, and it's just so much cool stuff. Did you guys see where he shattered the window this morning?
Yeah, just like Franz.
Oh,
that was crazy. Yeah.
Yes. And who was it that said? So I was talking to one of you guys offline, and said he should learn to have a better grip, because that was
me.
That was you. So We Back Tesla. I would love to. Well, you know what? Let me go through the panel here. If you guys had one car to pick, the Cybertruck or the Y, what would you say, Jason?
I would say the Cybertruck, definitely. It's the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Practicality and the speed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anthony?
And the comfort.
Yeah, well, I mean, if I didn't need it right away, probably the Cybertruck. If it was a short-term need, then obviously the Y, right? But if it was just like one of those,
pick one, buddy. Pick one.
Assuming it doesn't matter when I get it, I would pick the Cybertruck.
Okay, Ryan.
Well, I got 2 kids, so probably the Y.
Oh man, you put them in the back.
See?
Yeah.
Cybertruck, you put them in the back.
Hey, you
got
get
that
the Cyber.
Franklin.
Cybertruck.
Yes. Okay.
And
Okay.
I think
And
keep
it's
in
funny
mind,
because I'm the only guy wearing the Cybertruck shirt right now.
I think there's a bias though. So we all 5 of us own 70% of a Y already. So I think we're kind of biased because we already own like 70% of the Y. So I don't know. You kind of want something new and different, but
I don't have a Y.
you do. You have 70% of a Y.
No, he's talking about
You have a 3.
Yeah, you're 70%.
Heart.
Well, that,
Yeah.
So I mean, if you factor that in, that's my take. So
Yeah. Well, moving on to our next topic, and it's a little segue here. I asked about the Cybertruck because we're going to talk about the Cybertruck now, and we're already 25 minutes in, and we're now talking about the Cybertruck. I thought we talked about it a lot earlier. That's why I put the thumbnail of tonight's video as a Cybertruck.
Sorry, before you start that, I was just looking at the chat. Mark, Backseat Baller, Mark mentioned that Touch ID is actually used on the iPhone if you use the app to try to start the car. So
well, we don't buy that unless he comes on and tells us himself.
it's in the chat. In the chat thing there.
Yes, I hear you. No, that's
but thanks for telling us that, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Also, we love your cooking videos. They're really
yes.
much better than what I
want to see more. Yeah. So yeah, talking about the Cybertruck, I got a question for you, Jason.
Okay.
What were you doing on April 16th?
Good question.
which year?
Yes, April 16th of last week, because it says here on Twitter, you asked, what's the biggest change to Cybertruck so far from prototype unveil? And like the whole reason we have you on, I mean, not the whole reason, you're a cool guy and everything, but what you're well known for is getting the ear of Elon. And Elon replied to you, reduce size by roughly 3%. Centerline is more level and lower windowsill height. So that was huge. Everyone picked up on that. Were you shocked to get a response, or is this just mundane for you? This is like the norm, and you would have been shocked if he didn't reply to you.
Just a daily thing for him.
Yeah, I know that's
the moment it becomes normal is when he's gonna follow me. That's when it becomes normal. But from now, it's always a shock. I think I don't remember what time I tweeted this, but usually when I tweet, I'm about to go to sleep, and sometimes I don't even notice for a few minutes until I wake up again. So,
doesn't say.
Hey, Dax, real quick question for you. So we got Jason on. I was talking to him today. I'm like, hey, you got to join our podcast. When you pulled this tweet up, Dax, was this like today or was it a couple of days ago?
When I pulled the tweet up?
Yeah, like you saved all the stuff for the podcast for this week, right?
Yeah.
So did you pull this up like just now, or was it like before that Jason came on?
Well, now that you put me on the goddamn spot, I pulled this up like while you guys were talking about the two-factor. I thought I had the link and I didn't. So I was scrambling while you guys were talking about the two-factor. I was scrambling to find the link. I thought I had it, but I had another link for something else.
Isn't it so easy to find though? You just go through Jason's Twitter account, and I'm telling you, Elon replies to him all the time.
I know. Buddy, it wasn't really hard, but yeah, it was funny. It's funny. So that's cool. So from there, all the news outlets went with this. Of course, all the EV and Tesla news outlets went with this. And I'm looking now, and I thought he said exactly 3%, but now I'm looking at his reply now. It says about 3%. But people went with 3%. And of course, let me see if I can bring this up. Mock-ups started coming and stuff like that. And we got this one mock-up here. Once again, if you're not listening at home, if you're not watching at home, it may be a little hard to see what we're talking about. But here, somebody by the name of Alwyn, he did an updated version of the Cybertruck with the changes. And I'm just going to see if I can blow up this picture. Can you guys see that on your screen? So the new one is the top version, the top version is the new look with roughly about 3% smaller, and the center line more level and the windowsill lower and stuff like that. And the bottom version is the old version. And you can see the difference in size. Like it looks more, it looks more aerodynamic, looks more sleeker. Does it not to you guys?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it still won't fit in my garage, though.
No. Well, this is just a side. if we were to assume Elon said it meant 3% overall, including width and length and everything, yeah, it still probably won't fit in most, but it will get a little bit smaller. There's also, you guys can see that there, right? There is also another one I'm going to bring up. Just bear with me for a second. Where somebody did an awesome job of doing like some, the site is called Juxtapose.js. And what they did is, you guys can see that, right? I will make it full screen here. I'll get rid of your mugs. Now watch this. If you take this line, okay, we'll start from here, from the back. This is the old Cybertruck. Now, if you're listening to this in the car and in the audio podcast, you can't see what I'm doing. What I'm basically doing is you go to this, I'm not going to give you the whole URL, but if you search for nightlab.com Tesla Cybertruck, you'll find what we're talking about. Basically, somebody, and maybe Franklin or Ryan or any of you guys that know more about the internet than me can explain how he does this, or how they do it, or maybe she, who knows.
Hold on, I'm just going to interrupt you for a sec. It's Night Lab with a K.
Yeah, sorry, I should have. Yeah, and it says it's Canadian, or it says CDN, so maybe that's Canadian. I don't know. We're just
that's the content distribution network.
Damn you, ruining my Canadian content, Joe. No. Anyways, let me get back to the description.
Put the link in the show notes.
So yeah, we'll do that too. But if you're listening to it and you want to see it when you get home, just like I say, like Ryan says, nightlab.com with a K, night as in like knights in armor and stuff like that.
Knight Rider.
Yeah, Knight Rider. You got to be careful. Knight Riders, some of our audience may not know who Knight Rider, the show Knight Rider. Yes. So anyways, let me get back to this thing. Now, what you do is there's a line right down the middle, and it moves, it slides back and forth left and right, from the left of the screen to the right of the screen with your cursor. And if you start on the right-hand side, you see the Cybertruck, the original Cybertruck. And if you drag the cursor and the line towards the left, it overlaps and it shows the new version of the Cybertruck, and you can see an awesome comparison of how it's changed. You can see how high it was there, where the roof peak was, and then you can see the windowsill, the difference in the windowsill. Now, once again, this is not exact. We don't know. This is all assumption, but you can see the wheel wells and tires don't change, but the center line and the windowsill does change. And I think that's just, whoever decided to do this and design this is pretty cool. Like, that's awesome. I don't know if you guys can see it. If you get a chance and you haven't seen it, take a look at it. Let me get you guys back. Anyone have any comments to say about the smaller version?
Well, I would say for about 4 days, all I saw in my notifications were different renders of the new Cybertruck. So
yeah,
it was pretty interesting to see all the different ones.
Yeah.
This is the best one so far.
It's still not going to fit in my garage, so.
No, yeah, that's what everyone's saying. And now my Model 3 barely fits in my garage. I have to move a bunch of stuff anyway, so I'm not worried about it. It's going to be a car or a truck that's living outside, so I'm not too worried. And you know what? It's supposed to be indestructible, right? So I don't care if it sits outside.
We'll see. I'm going to bring steel balls to your house.
No, you're not, because but what
she said.
What we found our show title right away. What I should also mention, amongst saying the 3%, Elon also went on to say that, or someone had asked him about the suspension, if it's going to be the same air suspension taken from the S and the X, and he says it's going to be a completely new air suspension, and he said he wants to have it ready for, or wants to have it, I can't remember if he said ready or able to do Baja. So that is cool. Like the air suspension in general is cool, but to know that it's going to be an all new system. Every time we get little tidbits like this from Elon about the Cybertruck, I don't know about you guys, but it just gets me excited.
He also mentioned that the only way you can get different colors is to wrap it.
Yes, he did say that. Yep. And he also talked, or maybe this was last week before that, he talked about a paint factory in Berlin, how it's going to have more colors and stuff like that. But yeah, to wrap it. So is anyone surprised with that? Did anyone think that they were actually going to be different colors?
No,
not really. I mean, I figured wrapping.
I thought they might have wrapped it for you. Like if you wanted a different color, they would do it.
Like gift wrapping?
with a bow on.
No, you know what? And you know what? We talked about this last week, so I'm not going to go too in depth about the color and stuff like that. But it
does save a lot of money for production, eh?
Oh,
and by one single color,
for sure.
production.
Definitely.
Yeah, Mark mentioned it, and he's right. Like, they don't have to set up a paint shop over and over with different colors or whatever. Yeah. There's no like imperfections with paint. Like, there's none of that. It's just, it's ready to go.
That's huge, and that's huge. And any expert since back in November, since this was unveiled, spoke about that when it came to the body and the stainless steel and the lack of paint. All the experts said, yeah, the ease in production and the rapidness of producing this thing with not having a paint shop is huge.
Not to mention getting parts too, if you need down the road.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And another great thing is, it's gonna bring a bigger market to the aftermarket wrap shops like Signature Customs, D-Brand, the phone skin company. They're gonna have a lot of sales. We're gonna have a lot of sales from this.
Yeah,
so it's gonna help the smaller companies too.
That is true. Marquez Brownlee will love that.
Oh yeah,
his friends at D-Brand. But what I was wondering about though, because you guys remember a couple days after or within 24 hours after the unveiling and everything, he did mention something about a matte black version. Do you guys recall that? Or am I dreaming? But we haven't heard anything about it since. And even last week when the whole thing about wrapping it came up, nobody that I remember or I read anyways or saw, no one mentioned anything about that anodized black. And I don't even know it's anodized. I'm just assuming. I don't know if it's anodized black or just that matte black option never came up. And he's never spoken about it ever since.
Yeah, maybe they're keeping it as a surprise for when we actually go to configure.
Founders edition.
Really configure.
Yeah, signature. Model. Yeah, signature model. Yeah, Elon's model maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you imagine if they were to sell that and ask for like 20 grand more or something? I mean, a lot of people would pay it.
I would seriously consider it.
Yeah, that thing in black could look crazy.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if you're already well over, like, you're on 110 for tri-motor with FSD before anything additional. So, I mean, what's an extra 20 at that point?
Yeah. No, you know what? I mean, it would look cool, and I know they probably would charge extra for it. It's just a matter of how much. Let me just show you for anyone that watching us at home and doesn't know the black that we're talking about. This, you can get some kind of idea. This is the black we're talking about here. Cool. Like and obviously these are renders, but that looks. I mean, people have talked about the Cybertruck looking very military-esque to begin with, or armored, like even Elon had said before the unveiling, it was like an armor personnel carrier. Like in the black, it looks even more. Don't worry with this green. That green looks stupid. But the black, sorry for whoever did it.
But there was a light track. Never mind.
What if someone likes that green that's watching? You just lost a subscriber.
I was actually going to go with a camel green.
Wow. There you go, Dax. Look at that.
Okay.
He's speechless. He's like, look, continue. What are you doing?
No. I'm looking at this gold. The only reason I'm speechless is I'm looking at this gold one down in the bottom.
That's the bling color.
Yeah. Someone should be arrested if they.
Yeah, the black Cybertruck won't get dirty because Dirt will be afraid of it.
Yes. Sorry, I wasn't looking at the screen. I was looking at the black. Who said that they were going to do the green?
I would go with a camo, like a camo design.
Yeah, camo.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with camo, because it's not just all green. That green particularly I didn't like, but
man, like my Cybertruck now just to bother you, Dax.
I'm sorry.
Wait.
You're going to what?
I'm gonna make my Cybertruck green just to bother you.
Okay, moving right along. Let's talk a little controversy. This article has been brought to us by our friends. A good buddy of mine, Darren, runs Drive Tesla Canada. .ca. He brings us this news about Tesla premium connectivity subscription has arrived in Canada. We know that it came to the US just about probably almost 6 months ago, near the tail end of last year.
It was December.
Yeah. Okay. So near the tail end of last year, and of course there was controversy in all the U.S. people. Oh, no, I shouldn't say controversy. Just a little bit of uproar. People that didn't agree with charging and stuff like that. And I thought here in Canada, seeing what happened in the States and hearing all the back and forth. Can I say whining and bitching? Did I just say that? Okay.
Yeah.
It's your channel, man.
That well, I don't want to offend anyone because you know how easily people are offended these days. Yeah. So it has come to Canada. We knew that it was finally coming. Did we ever think that they were going to charge the U.S. and Canada owners would be exempt from having to pay for it? Anyways, it's come to Canada. In the States, a little background here, it's $9.99, basically $10 a month in the US. No yearly subscription, just monthly. And we can talk about why they don't do a yearly lump sum in a little bit. But here, so it's $9.99. So, with our exchange and the dollar being as crap as it is, it works out to $14. It's $13.99 to be exact.
So
here in Canada.
Okay, I've been waiting for this topic. I have like a ridiculous amount of tabs open for this.
You've been waiting.
Yeah, this is like a topic I've been waiting for.
Before you get started, though, Franklin, I have to tell Jason, I did tweet at Elon to delay this for us, and I got nothing.
Oh, man. Okay. I'll do that too.
What's your reasoning for delaying it? Aren't you on unlimited anyway?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, I am, but I'm just trying to help out other people.
Yeah, with the pandemic and everything. That's very thoughtful. That makes sense. Makes sense.
Truthfully, I thought we'd have more of a delay. Like Canada usually gets stuff after the US, like I don't know, half a year to a year, and this was pretty quick on Tesla's part. I mean, they really want their money.
Yeah, I was gonna say when it comes to
money. So I was gonna say with current exchange rate, they should be charging $14.07. So we're technically saving 8 cents per month. Right
to all you whiners out there.
Okay. Then, if we continue on my thing here, Bell Mobility, which people who are unfamiliar, Bell owns a monopoly in Canada, one of 2 companies where you can get your telecommunication from, or one of 3, I guess. Anyway, they offer connectivity for cars. They offer $10 per month for 1 gigabyte of data. So you're 1 gig in the car, streaming music, Netflix, and anything else. You're going to chew through that 1 gig pretty quickly. If you want 2 gigs of data, you're looking at 25 gigs per month, which doesn't quite make sense to me why you're paying $10 for 1 gig and 25 for 2 gigs. But anyway,
sure, that's just Canadian telcos for you.
Yeah. So that is Bell. And then if we flip forward here to OnStar, who offers all sorts of stuff. They do offer unlimited data, but that comes in at a total of $39.99 per month.
What?
For OnStar? Okay. Really?
Yeah, OnStar, yep.
I'm not getting OnStar in my Tesla then.
If we continue on, we have My Vehicle AT&T. They offer 1 gig of data connected car plan for 30 days, $15 per month. So, if you base it off the competition, exchange rate, and everything else, Tesla's deal is still a steal.
Yes, but yet people on my Facebook group lost their minds. Like they just went off. Like, I mean, it's like bring out the pitchforks.
Yeah, but that's Facebook. So.
No, but I saw it on other things too. I mean,
no, I know. Well, yeah, I mean, I
scroll down most enough on this, yeah,
I saw a lot of tweets about people complaining about it. I mean, there's a few. I got in a bit of a back and forth with somebody from Australia about it actually because it rolled out there too at the same time as here, and they were unhappy that it was not indicated on the order page, which is true. That this would eventually be a paid service. I mean, they do have a point. I mean, I remember when I ordered my car in November of 2018, I was aware that I would have to pay for it because somewhere on the Tesla website I had read that anybody who ordered after June of 2018 would have to pay for this, but it never actually said anything on the actual order page. That didn't get changed until around the time the SR Plus came out, I think.
It never showed a price either.
And they never had a price. Well, I was told it'd be around $10 US,
yeah,
which is like $14 Canadian. So I mean, I don't think the price is unreasonable, especially compared to other services. I just think it's one of those things where, by the time you throw tax on there, it's still about $195 a year that you're paying for. Yeah,
that's what
days.
Tax.
Yeah,
in Ontario.
So it's about $195 a year, and it's one of those things where I think people do need to give it some thought. I think a lot of it has to do with how often you drive, and I mean these days a lot of us aren't driving at all. I mean I've been out in my car like exactly twice in the past 5 weeks.
Twice?
Twice to get.
Where did you go? You're supposed to stay home.
I had to get groceries, man.
I know where you live. You could walk.
I know where you live too.
Well, here's the other thing. I kind of wanted a yearly plan, which they don't offer. Full disclosure, I have lifetime as well. Who here? Anthony doesn't have lifetime. I do. Ryan does.
When did you get yours?
No, we got it September 2018. So
yeah, so you have to
pay monthly.
Okay, but can I ask, sorry to interrupt you, Franklin, for a quick sec. Can I ask you, Jason, when you got it, were you fully aware? Be honest.
Yes, definitely fully aware, but that's probably because I'm, really active on Twitter, so
but
that's probably why.
Yeah, fair enough. But the biggest,
Elon told him.
The biggest,
he texted him. They have text conversations on the side.
Yeah, I have his number.
But the biggest thing that I found in my groups and looking online and stuff like that, the biggest complaint from people is that they weren't aware. And I find that astonishing. Okay, yes, the five of us or anyone listening, we're Tesla fans through and through. I get that, right? But it's not like, you pick up anything and it'll say it in there. You ask questions. Okay. And a lot of people said, oh, the salesperson didn't tell me. 5 salespeople. I read one of my Facebook things where they said 5. I dealt with 5 different salespeople and not one of them told me. Well, you know what? The obligation is on you to some extent too, to ask like questions about this when they're showing it. I mean, at the end of the day, you're buying here in Canada. Don't get freaked out when you hear about it in the States. Here in Canada, it's anywhere from $55,000 to an $80,000 car you're buying. I mean, if you didn't do your homework and you didn't ask the right questions, then I almost don't feel sorry for you.
I don't get it because if I go to buy a microwave, I do research on a microwave. You know what I mean? And you're buying an $80,000 car and you don't know how what it comes with. Like that's just. Well,
I think that when you go to order the car, this is true. I mean, because I saw this myself. Is that if you ordered a Model 3 or a Tesla in general before the time that the SR Plus was released, the order page didn't say anything about premium connectivity having an expiration date of the free period and eventually costing money. I mean, I remember it myself when I ordered my car. I mean, I was aware of it because I'd read it somewhere else, right?
So it's interesting you say that because
when I mentioned and when I was talking to the salesperson at the Oakville location, when I asked him about it, he told me that it would eventually cost money, but he didn't volunteer that information until I asked, until I said, hey, I heard that this was going to cost me money eventually, right? So if you're just some average guy on the street who's buying a Tesla, your knowledge of what comes with the car is probably limited to what the order page tells you comes with the car, right? And so prior to when did the SR Plus come out? Like February, March of last year, I guess. Prior to that date, like if you were buying a car in December of 2018 and you looked on the order page, it just said premium interior cars, which was the only vehicle available at the time. And it comes with premium connectivity. It didn't say premium connectivity for 1 year or anything like that. It just said premium connectivity. So I can understand people who are not as, I guess, in tune with the community as some of us would be, getting a little bit upset about the fact that they're being asked to pay for this when they were never told that they would have to pay for it. And I don't think there can be an argument made to say, well, they should have gone and looked it up somewhere, because that's not really the job of the customer. That's the job of Tesla to tell people this. Tesla announced this. I mean, I remember I read about it, I think maybe in May of 2018, somewhere on their website, that people who ordered after June would have to pay. So I was aware of it, but I just found that out somehow. Right?
So there's yes and no to this. one of the selling points to the Model S and Model X early on was lifetime premium connectivity, that you'd have it forever. Then they stopped advertising that when they were starting to do the switch over to eventually having it paid. So about 2 years before the Model 3 was even released, I went to go look at Model S's, and I was interested, and I didn't like the front screen. I mention it all the time, just not for me. But at the time, they even talked about it then. They said, we don't know the prices yet, but we know it's coming. And just give you a timeline, this is about 5 years ago. And again, I guess it depends on who you're talking to. But Tesla's been advertising this for at least the last 5 years, that you would be paying eventually. Whether people are looking it up and stuff like that, I mean...
No, they should have put it on the order page then, really.
Well, I have one comment. So, like, for example, the older Model S's, you know, when they first came out and they had the tech package available, it did say 7 years that you get updates, and it's actually going on forever. So that's one thing. I mean, you know, 7-year-old Model S's are still getting updates. But also, like what Milton was saying, is for a technically advanced car like this, their order pages and customization pages are actually kind of vague. That they don't have that much information. So
yeah,
it would be nice to then build up on it.
Yeah, like if you look at it, they knew. I mean, they knew that anybody who ordered after the end of June of 2018 was going to have to pay. Right? I mean, that was on the website somewhere. I don't remember where, but I read it somewhere on the Tesla site. So, you know, how hard would it have been for them to just modify the order page to say, you know, premium connectivity, 1 year free?
Yeah, I agree.
It's like 4 words, 3 words actually. You know.
One of the positives of how they did it, though, well, I mean, they could have added yearly as well, but as Anthony said, you're not driving right now, so it's month to month. So because you're not driving right now, let's say in like 3 months, the economy starts going again, everyone starts going out, and you find yourself driving more, you can just buy a single month, right? You're not stuck in a year. So if you know you're going to be going away somewhere on a road trip or something, you want to have it for that month or whatever it may be, right? So it is good that way as well, right?
I actually have mine canceled right now because we're not going anywhere.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So it's really dependent on whatever your use case is for that given period of time.
Yeah, like I'm probably not going to subscribe to it in I think it was May 17th was the date that they gave for everybody who was already past the year. And I mean, like, I'm not going to subscribe for it, you know, now, because like I'm not really using the car for anything. And for the limited amount of time that I'm in the car, I mean, I can just tether off my phone if I really need to use the streaming, or I can just stream through Bluetooth. Like, I understand it's inconvenient because, you know, like when you put the car in drive, Wi-Fi turns off and you got to turn it back on and stuff. But, you know, I just don't really, personally, I don't feel like paying, you know, $15 a month for a service that at this point in time anyway, I'm going to make minimal use of at best. But to talk to what Franklin was saying about the 1 year, I mean, like, I understand, I guess, like, I think it'd be nice if they offered a 1 year, like maybe with a discounted rate, you know, if it's, you know, $14 a month, you know, maybe if you pay for a year, it's, you know, whatever, $12 or something. But my personal opinion is that if they did that, there would inevitably be people who would pay for the year and then decide that they didn't want the service after 3 months or 6 months or whatever. And those people would expect a refund. And I mean, we had a conversation about this, I guess, last week offline, you know, and I'm aware that there's a lot of various services out there that offer annual subscriptions where you don't get a refund if you cancel after you've paid. But I tend to suspect that the general expectation of the average person out there would be that if they canceled after 6 months, they would get a refund on the other 6 months. And
they could put it right in the agreement before you even sign off on it.
No, I know, but you know how it is, right? I mean, you could have it in gigantic, you know, Comic Sans font flashing in their face, and they would still say, "Oh, I didn't know," you know. And so then, of course, if they want to implement a refund system, they either have to do it through the my account, through the account, which obviously be great if they could do that. But I think, you know, as people who have dealt with Tesla in a variety of different ways, we know that they don't always have user-friendly methods of getting in touch with them for things that go beyond the ordering or service.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've ever dealt with a Tesla store or the online shop and you've needed to, contact them for an exchange or a refund or whatever, then, you're basically talking about like sending them an email and hoping that somebody replies.
On that note, I did contact them last week and they replied to me in under 24 hours.
Yeah. I emailed them in December and I'm still waiting. So
Well,
Maybe yours
yours
is-
is, that's why.
Yours is archived. They reply to me.
Yeah. Well, mine fell below the window, the bottom of the window, so it's lost forever.
You know what it is? They see my account being replied to by Elon Musk, so they deem me important.
Yeah, that must
So
be.
Wow,
You
this
gotta
is
get
really
some-
going to your head, isn't it, Frank?
There you go. There you go.
So all I'm saying is
I'm full disclosure. I'm fully joking. Like I'm laughing. We're having a good time.
I know
think
I know
it'd be
the
a good
show
idea if
title.
they went annual, but I think if they were going to do annual, they'd have to make it extremely clear that there are no refunds, or they would have to implement a very user-friendly method of canceling and getting a refund on the remainder of your annual subscription. If they were to just implement it and then say, email this address if you want a refund, I mean, that would result in a lot of friction from the customer, and I don't think that would be ideal. So I think monthly is probably better at this point.
They're probably making good money off it too.
You think what?
They're probably making pretty good money off the subscriptions.
Oh,
If you
sure.
think about it, most people who watch, use the theater, do it when they're parked, right? So chances are you'd be connected to Wi-Fi, so you wouldn't even be using the data.
Yeah, I think the idea is you can use it when you're charging, right?
Yeah, but I mean, let's say you're charging and there's a Wi-Fi hotspot available. Chances are you
I don't
may.
connect.
You
I
don't,
always
eh?
use the Tesla one.
Yeah, because the supercharger is usually pretty far away from anything, right? So,
True.
it'd be great if they had Wi-Fi at the superchargers, but I think the reality is, the only time you're going to use YouTube or Netflix on LTE is if you're at a supercharger. If you're at home in your garage, you're going to be on Wi-Fi anyway. So,
Right.
although when I do go shopping, my daughter stays in the car and she watches YouTube, so there's that.
Yeah.
So I guess I have to pay because
See,
otherwise I have to explain why
Mark-
she watch YouTube in the car.
Mark brings up a good point. Do you think the subscription model of $10 a month for premium connectivity would be the make it or break it for people buying the car?
No,
I
I
hope
don't
not.
think
I
so.
hope
I just think that I think they need to make people aware of it at the time they order the vehicle. That way they know that this thing is going to be free for a year if you buy premium. It's free for a month if you buy SR Plus or SR, I guess. And after that, you have to pay. So at least they know. Right? I think the reason people are complaining is because they for whatever reason they weren't aware.
Well,
And to
Yeah.
touch on what Ryan said, I honestly don't know if Tesla's making money just based off the prices of competition, which looking at their quarterly reports, they probably are. But anyway, I think the biggest change is Tesla's not losing money now. So before they were spending money to provide all that data,
you're
now
right.
they're not losing it. As long as it's covered, it's still a gain. So it's a gain by subtract. I don't know you know what I mean. Basically, they're gaining by not spending.
I
Yeah.
hear you.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with the price. I think the price is fair. But I do understand why people would have been surprised to find out that they had to pay if they're not as, I guess, plugged into the community as we are.
Does anybody know what carrier Tesla's using?
AT&T is here.
AT&T.
AT&T in the U.S. and I think
Rogers.
actually Baller had mentioned that he believes they're just roaming in Canada.
100% they are.
Just roaming.
Trying to get user location data to build weather for my app was a real pain because originally I tried going by IP when the IP always shows up as a US IP. So we always live in the US regardless of where we are. So a lot of fun. So it is a US carrier that we have.
They probably pay lower rates too through that carrier.
Yeah, they're
Probably.
probably just paying a flat rate per vehicle or something, regardless of where it's located.
Yeah, well, our carriers up
It's
there
really
are horrible.
Because when you're driving across the border, it's great to just have the car lose connectivity to Canada and reconnects to the US. And everything just works again. I mean, that's really, really, really good. Compared to the experience of any other
Speaking of Canada as well, have any of you guys got a call on the Model Y?
Hold on, before we move on there, Mister, I'm in a hurry to move on. I want to thank you for getting all that. Thanks for everyone putting in their 2 cents and stuff like that. Anthony says 5 cents, but thanks Franklin for putting together all that research of all the competitors and other data stuff from the carriers and stuff like that. I didn't ask you to do that. I didn't think you were gonna do that, but that breaks it down and makes it people realize that it's actually not a bad price. So thanks for doing that, buddy.
Yeah, no problem. That's the service I offer on the podcast, you know.
Dax, I got to step away for a couple of minutes. I'll be right back, okay?
Sure, no worries. Moving right along as Anthony steps away, I'm just going to do this. Anthony, when you come back, you can come back in.
So do you guys have orders on the Y?
Yes.
You do.
No.
Dax?
No, I don't.
Okay.
You've got
have you been contacted, Jason?
No, we actually have a rear-wheel drive reservation, so not expecting to hear anything for a while.
Yeah.
Really annoying, but it's okay.
No rush. I'd rather have the configuration I want, right?
Well, we got some good.
Okay.
Yeah, we got some good news here in Canada. I don't want to take. Sorry, Franklin. I don't want to take your thunder. You go ahead. You started this. You carry it over.
No. I'm just trying to do the transitions for you. You know how it is.
Yeah, I know how it is.
Basically, they surprisingly, gladly, have started calling people in Canada. So I know the Oakville location in Toronto, the Lawrence location was calling people saying, "Hey, could you change your do you want this configuration?" Or, "Hey, your configuration's gonna be ready. Start the payment process," and they go through the whole entire process of delivery, right? So it's pretty cool to see that it's happening already in Canada. So I didn't think it happened this quickly.
No, I agree with you. And this article comes to us from our friends, once again, drive TeslaCanada.ca. They mentioned the first person that reached out to them was a guy named Gary Chen. Now, Gary Chen, I don't know if he reached out to them or he reached out to me first, but I will show you something. Oh, you're back, Anthony. Sorry, I'll bring you back in.
While you're pulling that up, interesting enough, if you don't want to take delivery, they defer it with no expiry date. Because it's an order that you placed, it's not a there you go. You can go ahead.
Yeah, no. Finish your thought. That's
I was just saying, because it's not an order you place, it's not like a reservation. Sorry, it's an actual order for a car, and they understand the time, so you can defer your delivery for indefinite right now, which really works out in my favor because I want to defer mine until robotaxi becomes a thing. I want to build a fleet of Teslas, so I have a number of them on order, and timing's working out well. So if I can delay my real long range Ys, the better, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. So what I was saying, what I was getting at was Gary. If you're in Canada, or even if you're not in Canada, it's a Canadian group, but if you're anywhere around, you can be a fellow inaugurated Canadian too, and you've got a Facebook account and you want more on the Model Y, go to my Tesla Model Y Canadian group. Just search for it there on Facebook, and I'll bring you in and we talk about the Model Y and stuff like that. And it's ramping up now that this kind of information is coming up and out of the woodwork. And Gary, what I was brought this screen up for is to show you. Gary had mentioned it to us first. Saying that he got a call from Tesla and he wants to know if anyone else was, because they're basically saying that the sales guy on the phone said that they're starting to look at June or July, and they're hoping the factory to reopen, or they're planning for the factory to reopen May 4th. So this was before we got the official news that the factory, and I guess it still wasn't official, but this was before we got the rumor that the factory was opening up on May 4th, and that's still up in the air whether it will or not. But they're expecting a second batch, is what he's telling us, in September, October. So a bunch of people, I don't have the whole line of comments here in the post. A bunch of people were saying that they got the same phone call, and I was gonna just anyone got anything to say about that while I find another thing I want to show. Tesla
did call me, by the way, a few months ago. I didn't bother bringing it up because it wasn't important. they're like, "Oh, we noticed you have an order on the Model Y." And as soon as I heard them call me and say that, I was like super excited, right? Like deliveries have started, and I'm like, "Hey, what's going on here?" And
Was
then
it
like,
Elon?
"What's that, sorry?"
Was it Elon?
No, it was just a store employee. But they're like, "Would you like to learn more about Teslas and come in and drive a Model 3? Maybe you'll like that." And I'm just like, "I have one. I want the Y." So that you might receive a call about that as well. I don't know, because I did.
Yeah.
So
Here, actually, I got a text from the local delivery center saying, "Hey, come pick up your Model Y, in a couple days." But of course, trying to, upsell to performance. That's not going to happen. But at least I know I have one on order. Well, not me, but at least I know we have one on order.
what? So you have rear-wheel drive, long range. Did you get FSD on it?
On the Y? No.
Yeah.
No, it's
No?
the standard autopilot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Color?
White. We chose white even before they changed the configurator to make it free. So that was a bonus when they changed it. That was
For
great.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just to show another post in the same group, a buddy of mine, his name is Mark Cross. He confirmed also that he also got a call from Oakville asking about the same kind of thing, whether they'd want it in the summer or the fall. And he's wondering if they're trying to gauge some impact from the coronavirus, from the shutdown and stuff like that. I guess they're getting stuff ready, right? They're getting all their ducks in a row and stuff like that, and trying to gauge what kind of what people are going to want out of this, and not in terms of if people still want their car because it's later or people think it's later, but mainly because I think, at least for Mark, because full disclosure, Mark's a dentist. He's actually my dentist, so he's a buddy of mine. But that's not important. But he's been with the whole quarantine and stuff being essential and everything. Unfortunately, dentists aren't, unless it's emergency procedures. They're not considered essential. So he hasn't been working since the middle. He was responsible enough since the middle of last month to close down. So he actually deferred his payment, or would rather his payment closer to the winter time. I mean, he's a dentist, so he doesn't know when he's going to be back up and running. So he's still going to get it. He hasn't canceled his order, but maybe this is what they're trying to gauge. Like people that were going to get it, are they still going to get it? I'm sure internally Tesla's probably seen a good number of cancellations. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Well, probably,
I would say so.
certainly deferrals, I would think.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, we have a couple sitting around in the South Florida area, waiting for delivery. But
yeah.
So, yeah.
I also, did you guys hear about this? Now I don't know how true it was. Somebody said that somewhere in the States, and I don't know what state it was, that somebody was going by a Tesla lot and they saw a Model Y on the lot, no plates on it, and it was for sale if anybody wanted it, like an actual Model Y that wasn't delivered. I find that a little hard to believe. I meant to take a screenshot of it and talk about it, but I didn't get a chance to. Now if I go to try to find it, I don't know if it's on Facebook, I don't know if it's on Twitter, I don't know if it's in an article. So I remember reading.
Did it have an actual sign on it, or someone just tweeted?
No, there wasn't a picture or anything. Someone just tweeted it. It was all text.
It might have been Tesla Tino, because I know he knows a lot about the inventory here.
Oh, does he? Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
You know Raphael?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Raph. He's an awesome guy, and I want.
Yeah, we're in the same club. We're in the club shirt right now.
Yep, that's the Florida one, right?
Yes.
He's such a good guy.
Yeah.
I've met him a couple of times. He's awesome.
Yeah,
he's fun.
Yeah, I met him when I went down to Florida last August. He was also up here to visit Trevor as well. So
yeah, we met him in California at the Cybertruck event.
Raj and I were talking about it today. Like one of the coolest things about the test community is collaboration amongst people in the community from all over. So like it doesn't matter where you are. There's people always helping each other and people always talking and stuff. It's really neat to see, especially considering compared to other niche communities and stuff where people are really competitive and stuff like that. So it's such a nice change.
Oh yeah, I agree. Now
it's possible that car that they saw could have been a test drive car as well.
you think they'd leave a test drive car out when they could
Well,
sell
they
it?
normally do. I mean, like I remember when I went, the car I bought actually was the test drive, one of the test drive cars from Oakville, and it was just out on the lot. They would put the dealer plate, kind of hanging off the back.
Yeah.
When they went for the test drive, but the rest of the time it was just sitting there, with no plates on it. So maybe a car that they use for test drives, and then if somebody wants to buy it, it's available.
Well, the test drive one that we see all over Ontario is still here and has California plates on it.
Yeah. Actually, that's a different one, Ryan. I thought it was the same one, but I think it was Mark that duly noted that it had a different color interior. Like Franklin, now I'm going to mix it to when you went with Mark and you saw the one at Lawrence, was it a white interior or black interior?
Shoot, white.
White. Okay, so the one that they just recently saw that Ryan's referring to, this way, was white. So it looked identical on the outside, but it was white.
Could you fit your hand into the panel gaps?
Well, I didn't see it, and I know that's a funny joke, but it had a roof rack on it.
Franklin said the one he saw, the interior was white, and you just said the one you saw was white as well.
No, sorry, it was black. Was it black?
Okay.
It was black. Yeah. So I didn't see it. I saw someone posted it in the Model Y or the Model 3 on Facebook.
So the one I saw when we had Brian on, we're actually talking to him about this. The VIN of the one I saw, well, Mark and I that we saw it, was a much higher VIN than Brian I1 Teslas.
Interesting.
And one of the things we noticed, Brian's is like his panel gaps are pretty good. Like it's pretty flawless car overall. Like he's saying there's some minor stuff that could change to, but if you looked at the one that Mark and I saw, I'm not joking. Like the panel gaps were ridiculously bad. So I'm trying to the only thing I can think of is that they rolled it off the line. The gaps were bad, so they're like, well, we need a testing car for Canon anyway. Let's drive that one up there, right? So I don't know. Yeah,
it could be possibly that it just was a bad one, or like a one-off or something, and they're like, we can't sell this. Let's use it as a test car, which is good if you think about it. A year ago, 2 years ago, would they have considered not selling that? They'd be like, no, we're selling it. We'll fix it later. But it just goes to show you that Tesla's actually learning.
I've seen probably 4 production-wise for customers, and they were flawless on the outside. I haven't seen the inside. But compared to my 3, yeah, they were flawless.
Yeah. No, it's coming soon, and I'm surprised because I thought with this whole shutdown and the pandemic that things would go south for deliveries to Canada. Pardon the pun, it would go north, but you know what I mean. Speaking of Raf, if you're watching, or if you get a chance to talk to Raf before I do, Jason, let him know that he's got a spot on the podcast. I want to get him on sooner or later, one of these days, and he's got a wealth of knowledge that I want to pick his brain for too.
We just got to send him some rum or something, loosen him up a bit.
I know where you're going with that. No, have you seen Raf lately? The man, I think he went vegan. Did he not? Vegan or vegetarian? I remember him saying a little while ago. And he's looking awesome. He's slimmed down.
He looks amazing.
Yeah.
I did a chat with him 2 weeks ago, and we were talking about it. He's gone full vegan, I want to believe. I think it was vegan, yeah. And he's lost a lot of weight. He's looking great.
So does that mean he's not drinking anymore?
Well, that's what I was alluding to, but
I wouldn't go that far.
I don't know.
I have no idea.
Yeah. We're making the guy out to sound like he's an alcoholic. We have no idea if he is or not.
No, we have no idea. He's an awesome guy.
If he is or not.
Yeah, he's great.
Anyways, anything else you guys got any down in the comments below? Anyone that's listening, anyone got a quick question for us before we wrap this puppy up? Because we're at an hour and 14-minute mark, and we're about to wrap it up. Drinking is vegan, Mark is saying.
I agree. Well, it's grapes, right? It's vegetables, or fruit. It's just
sugar cane.
It's just it's just fruit juice with added oomph.
Yes. Okay. Well, we're gonna call it on this one. We're gonna wrap it up. I just want to thank Jason, our special guest, for coming out tonight, joining us. And I know you were saying off air that time was a little tight for you, so I appreciate you sticking around a little bit longer. So
Thank you.
I will give you a chance to let everyone know where they can find you. on Twitter or wherever social media?
Yeah, so you can find me at jgrano305, and that's my main use on Twitter. So yeah, check me out there.
So basically, you're saying whenever Elon tweets, you can find you the tweet before then, right?
So, yeah, definitely. Just scroll through Elon's feed, you'll find it.
Yes. Ryan, where can people find you?
I'm at Nerds for Hire. So at Nerds for Hire on Twitter and Nerds for Hire on Facebook, or nerdsforhire.com. Check out my website.
Yes. If we talked about Moss and his little shop that he's got going, Ryan's got, and it's not a plug or anything, but Ryan has a company in the GTA. If you have any computer issues, Google Nerds for Hire. He is a genius and he can help you out. Anthony, where can people find you?
I'm Tesla Milton on Twitter, and if you go on YouTube and search for Tesla Milton, you'll probably find my channel. There's a few videos there. Well, I haven't posted anything in a while, but I like to say the quality takes time.
Yes, I agree.
Takes a very long time.
And Franklin?
You can find me on Twitter at Tesla Talks. You can find me on YouTube as Daxm. And I have a Facebook page. He doesn't shout out himself, so someone has to do it. Dax, where can we find you?
You know what? Like I said, I figure people are watching this. If someone happened to stumble across this or was in some Chinese torture camp and is forced to watch this, they know where to find me, right? They know where to find me.
Hey, I shout out all your social platforms because you never do.
Thank you very much. Yes, I appreciate it.
Well, so if you're watching this on Dax's channel, you probably know what channel Dax has, because
Franklin's a giver.
Yes, he is a giver. Franklin, well, he did me, so I'm going to do him. Franklin can be found at Mother Frunker on Twitter.
Yeah, M Frunker.
M Frunker. Well, see, I'm screwing it up already. I can't even do
Frunker on Twitter, Mother Frunker on everywhere else, YouTube,
yes.
and
Facebook.
Yeah, sure. We'll go with that. I am, yeah. It's just automated. I don't actually go there.
So Franklin really likes. He really likes.
I can believe that.
He likes pizza, especially the kind of pizza you cook in the oven at home.
Oh,
okay. Yeah, no, that's off-air stuff. Quiet down. That's an unreleased video.
All right.
Anyways, folks, if you are still with us, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We will be back here next week. We'll do it all over again. I'd love to say that we will do. What's today? Today's Thursday, right? We usually try to do it on Tuesday or Wednesday, and lo and behold, one day I will get a exact date, like a Tuesday or a Wednesday, and you can set your watch to it. But right now, unfortunately, I can't. Just the way things are, I can't give an exact date. So bear with me. Usually Tuesday or Wednesday. This week's a little bit longer, but stay tuned. Like Franklin says, follow me on any of those social media things, and I'll give you a good 24 hours notice when it's coming up. Or just subscribe to the channel and hit that little bell, and then YouTube will notify you automatically. So it's just that easy. Anyways, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We will catch you on the next one, folks. Thanks, guys. Take care. End broadcast. I know you guys are still listening, but I'm going to end it right now.